I see Whiskey. Whiskey is in the aquarium and the water's moving. Oh, there you are. There you are. Yo, what's up?
What are you doing, dude?
Man, I've been out to dinner with the wife and a couple of friends of hers for the evening. I hope the collared shirt's not a little too much for.
Hey, man, business in the front, party in the back.
I didn't realize how funny I looked until I just sit down in front of the deal. I'm like, hey, I'm all dressed up.
Dude, hey, listen, you got to get it. We got to start growing mullets out, right? In honor of like Seth Fighter just dominating.
Dude, that guy's incredible, isn't
he? Have you really looked at what he did this year?
Yeah, it's impressive.
The worst place, 29th place was his worst place finish.
Yeah. I can remember Ott Defoe winning AOI one year, and Ott was telling a story about how he told his wife the first tournament of the year, he finished like 43rd or something. And he was like, this has got to be my worst finish of the year. And I'm thinking, good God. I mean, what it takes to win one of those, man, it's just unreal.
They were talking to Swindle today, and Swindle's like, yeah, he finished like a 40th or something, made every cut. And he said, man, that guy did. It was 29th making every cut. It was amazing how many fourths and sixths. Like it was like 6th, 4th, 6th, 13th, 6th. You know, like it was pretty. It's pretty impressive. It's crazy. Here's the crazy part is, and I'm not saying they did bad, right? But Mullins was like leading almost all year, and then Clark won it, right? And Mullins he qualified for the Classic today and made a top 10. So he's in. And I don't know if Clark made the Classic or not. But what I'm saying is those guys were like first and second angle of the year by a couple points last year, and how like it's not like they had bad, but it's so hard to regain when things go your way. It's weird how angle of the years work. When things are going your way, it's like you can't do wrong, and it's just amazing how that will turn the table on you a little bit.
Yeah. Dude, those finishes against that caliber of competition, let alone on ponds that, look, they're not your home lake. When you're from Minnesota, I don't care how Gunnersville's not your home lake. It's just not.
St. John's River. They said he won the Angle of the Year from the St. John's River because, and then you go to the Sabine, but they're like, he always, listen, for whatever it is, and I've heard bad things about Florida. Florida is like that. I think Florida might be the scariest state to go to.
Man, I've always enjoyed it. I understand why everybody says that, but for me personally, like it ain't that scary. Like I've always liked
it. We're a little bit more used to the southern and like some weird stuff. I know you don't fish grass, but it didn't scare me as much. But I
see Minnesota is very much like what Florida is, dude. It is natural lakes, a lot of grass, largemouth. I mean, obviously you take out the smallmouth, but Minnesota is right down there with Florida, you know, as far as type of fisheries. But dude, it doesn't matter where you're from. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you're from the moon. Like what he's doing is incredible.
Right. What I'll say about Florida, the first time I went, when we went to Okeechobee, dude, I didn't catch but like 1 or 2 fish for like 2.5 days in practice on Okeechobee, and dude, they were crushing them. And then all of a sudden, like I'll never forget this. I ran into Watson, and I was going to fish this one place I didn't know. In fact, I was probably only a couple 100 yards away, or I'd say a half mile away from where all the winners were, right? Or the guys that were winning or in the top 10. And I go into this one little area, and Watson's like, oh, it's not too bad. Like, just go do this. And he was just reeling a horny toad or whatever. And I was like, I don't have one of those stupid things. So I just put my rage bug on and started reeling on top. But it had nothing to do with that. Like, it's not even how I caught him in the tournament. But I just got around some, and it was like, oh my gosh, it was like the light bulbs. Like I actually knew what I was doing. No, I just got around him, and I spent my whole 2 days in there, and did good, mate. I barely missed the cut, But every single time I go to Florida, it's like I think from there, every single event. No, I take that back. The one where I broke down on, where you had to give me a ride in. Remember, the last one we had,
Toho.
That one I was pretty consistent for 2 days, but the other ones, it was like 9 pounds and then 22 pounds. I mean, I either had like phenomenal days, and like my phenomenal days would make up for my bad days. And I think I've cashed a check every single time we've gone to Florida, or like a top 40, top 30. But man, it was a 1 day save me type deal. It was not very few of them. 2 out of like the 6 were consistent.
You know, Rayburn's somewhat like Florida, where like you fish for a long time, and then when you get around a group of fish, it's like, you know, it can kind of get easy when you're around that group of active fish. You know what I mean?
It can get very easy. I don't know if you read on the comments the last one we did of yours. A guy specifically asked this question. He was like, we were talking about we got to talking about, which is I want to bring this up because like you want to talk about nailing it on the head. We got to talking about Champlain and Brian Schmidt and like how guys can go to these certain lakes and do good year after year, no matter what, even if they're not from there, like they kind of figure it out. And I was like, yeah, Rayburn's not like that. Rayburn is a change. Like every single time you go there, it changes. Can you do the same thing? Yeah, but I mean, you're liable to finish 100th 1 year, and like people, I don't think people realize until I started making videos. I honestly think people thought I was lying when I was like, oh man, we change it up every week, or every other week, every year is different. And I think when I started making videos, if people start really paying attention, they're like, golly, he doesn't do the same thing twice almost on anything, and definitely not in the same part of the lake. And you wanted to know why that is. And the deal with Rayburn is, one, it fluctuates. So even though it doesn't fluctuate like some of these lakes, like 30 foot, you know, like Cherokee, you know, it fluctuates, what, 30, 40 foot.
Oh yeah, it's insane, dude.
It's insane, right? Ours, a 10-foot high and a 5-foot low. So it can vary 15 foot. I've seen it 10-foot low. So I mean, it can vary. Those are extreme conditions, but it goes up and down, and it stays there. And if it comes up, it's instantly in bushes. Like it's not like it's got to come up 5 foot. It comes up a foot from normal, and it's already in the bushes, but a foot makes it really high into the bushes, and it spreads everything out like crazy. And 3 foot is like crazy in the bushes. Now we're almost in the trees. And when you're fishing hydrilla, that is the norm, right? That's what you normally will go there and fish.
Right.
But then all of a sudden you add in bushes and willow trees, because we got both of them, and they get on both. We got cypress trees, they get on that. We got pepper grass, we got pads, we got hay grass. They will get it, every single one of those things I mentioned, not even counting the offshore stuff. You can win off of doing every single one of those things. So
it's also why, like, when a guy like me comes down there, why I hate all of those hangups. And that's what they are. They're hangups for me. They're hangups. And what I mean by that is that the bass still get hung up, even though it's 4 foot high in the willow trees. They still get hung up in the grass. They still get hung up in the pepper grass. They still get hung up in the pads. They got all these places to get hung up in. And where I come from, there's nothing to get hung up on. It's either get the trees or live out there on a rock where you always live. You know what I mean? Yeah. You got hangups, too many.
It is. And I try to tell people that all the time, that it's what I have learned on Rayburn is like these spots. Yeah, there's some spots out there, but man, and there were some spots this year, right? You don't hear them. Guys are gone freaking silent. Like you don't hear about them anymore because those things don't play. And you might not hear about them for the rest of the year because those spots don't work, and they'll change. And it's because of the water level, and it's because of all those aspects. Right. And so can you catch some fish? Yes, but staying on the winning deal, I have learned for me over the years, I have got to change. I will change with whatever it is and just go with it. I never get hung up, which allows me to fish other lakes very well, because the guys that do really good on Rayburn, that just do good on Rayburn, they get very locked into certain things. I don't think you stay consistent very long on Rayburn because of that, and you sure can't go anywhere else. But if you fish Rayburn kind of like the way we do, approach it the way we do, not fish it, but approach it, then when you go to these other lakes, it's like, I don't really care what's going on. I'll just go do anything, and once I figure them out, it's pretty easy. And I take the same philosophy to Rayburn, which is
I've always felt like a lot of the and I say a lot, there's not a lot of these guys, but the few guys that are really good at Rayburn that are northern end Rayburn guys, there's not a lot of hangups there, right? And it helps make them more consistent. And there's just not a lot of places for those fish to get hung up, and they live on some of those places that they catch them on more times than not. Does that make sense what I'm saying?
100%, but it's
whereas there's a better population down lake where there's, you know, bigger fish and all the probably more fish, but the problem is there's too many hangups, and those guys have kind of got them.
I don't know if there's more fish. The problem is it's almost impossible. The better the lake is, it's almost impossible to win up north. Like when I say north, like pretty far up there, it's like the north end plays when it's really, 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 really tough. But
you know, hey, look, that is the truth, dude. I'm older than you, so back when we had the COVID for bass, let's put it that way, when we had the bass virus and like everything died in Grand Lake, and like they died.
The river plays.
The upper ends of every reservoir in the state of Oklahoma were the ones where derbies were won. And that's back when I kept like a journal of every day that I went fishing, like basically every minute. And I did this for like 10 years. And when fishing is tough, usually the lakes are low. It's generally, there's like, they all go hand in hand, but the water level comes down on them. But the upper ends of every reservoir, and dude, you could take this to the banks. Like people watching this want some money. That's when you need to be looking at the upper ends of reservoirs to fish. And it's not just Rayburn, is what I'm saying. Like,
isn't it amazing too that like when fish kills happen, the north ends usually stay okay?
I think they just got more fertility and oxygen and current. And
I think water's flowing through there. And when I say flowing through there, like it doesn't stay stagnant like it could down south a little bit. And it has to have something to do with that. The reason I bring all that stuff up is, so we talked about Champlain and Brian Thrift.
Yeah.
And then you look up this week and he's leading the Toyota.
Yeah, Costa. No, I saw that. Dude. I saw that. I was like, him and little Schmitty got a little swap off again.
Well, that,
you know what I mean?
But it still made me think about that spot. Like, you know, I was like, well, he's going to start off in that spot catching 17 to 19 pounds every day.
I think they're in a different part of the lake, homie.
No,
I was looking at pictures, and I think they're in a different part of the lake.
Yeah, I didn't look.
Yeah, I saw some pictures, and I think they're in a different part of the Champlain. But yeah, man, I thought the same thing after we talked about that. I was like, yeah, them two still flopping. But
yeah,
it's funny,
man. Hey, so it's weird how, like, I watched quite a bit of. I probably watched. There's a couple of reasons why I watched a little bit of live of the elites over the past couple of days. One is, we won't bring up fantasy, okay?
You're dominating.
No,
we should bring it up. What place are you in? Like, I don't even know, because I haven't watched fantasy that.
Here's the bad part. Sucking. Okay, so here's the funny part. I have 4 guys again in the top 10 right now. So they won't go. They'll be in the top 10.
How bad is your worst finisher?
It was Destin Demarion, which was, he finished like 60 something. He was in the last group, but he was most owned too. So like, you know, over a quarter, a third of the people had him. So that he didn't hurt me, right? Because that many people picked him. So if anyone, that's the best one. But the David Mullins and Clark Windlet picks, and okay. So I actually was in like the top 100 yesterday so I was in the top 100 yesterday, even though I didn't have every guy in the top 10. I guess some other guys did a little bit better that people had picked. So it's got me in 116th place, even though I actually have more in the top 10. I think Chris Johnson fell. It's crazy, but I think I moved like 15 or 16 spots, something like that. And
Dude,
so
I'm in like the 90th percentile, and I'm in like 5,000th place or something
yeah,
like
I'm in.
that. Like,
I'm
there's
in
a lot of guys you're beating.
I was in the 100, or I was in 99.8 percentile yesterday. I think I'm in 99.7 right now. But I killed it on the last two. Matt, I get these guys, man, sending me Instagram messages, me screenshotting where Matt is and where I am, and like I almost feel bad because like I sent that to that group text, and I told that guy, I was like, yeah, I kind of feel bad. No one will even respond to me in our group text now. And he was like, yeah, I wonder if Matt's mad. I'm like, I don't know, but no one will respond to me in our group. Like I sent it and no one responds to me. And I said, okay, but I haven't told, you want to know the truth? Can I tell you the truth about something?
Yeah. No, you were going to tell. Yeah, I want to hear it right here because I saw that on the text and you were going to hold it for the group. So
okay,
you got a little info or something.
Okay, so okay, I'll be honest. Like y'all know me, man. I have no problem dogging on myself.
Mullins called you and told you he was going to kill him.
No. Although I did text him today, saying, "Hey, man, I got you in fantasy, and you're freaking killing it for me, man. Good job. Like, I hope you catch him." And he was like, "Yeah." He's excited, I think, because he made the classic in the top 10. So dude, he don't care about today. He's just out. He knows he's probably not going to win. He's too far back, but he's just going to go. You know, those tournaments are fun, right? Top 10, you can't really go down, and you're too far away to win, and you already made the classic. You're like, I'm good.
Yeah.
So, I do zero research, zero.
I know.
Don't know this. Like even y'all don't understand if y'all have ever watched those opens. They're waiting on me trying to fumble around, trying to find picks.
Yeah.
I actually had a chance, right? I'm above Matt. I'm like, I need to look at the St. Lawrence River a little bit better. So I went through and looked it up, right? I Googled while we were on the phone, like minutes before. I'm like Googling and I'm like, yeah, that's what I thought. I thought he did good. So I got ready and I picked David Mullins. The Chris Johnson thing was easy, right? Then, and if y'all go back and watch the show, you'll understand. You'll hear my mess up. I didn't know I messed up. The Taco Ito thing, that was like, yeah, no big deal. Like that's an easy pick for me now. Like I'm gonna take some chances. He's freaking killing it, right? Destin DeMarion, he's the only one left. So I had these like two D. I think they were in the C and D, and it was Mullins and Wimmet, a freaking Texas guy. I know Clark can catch him, but he was not owned very high. And then David Mullins, freaking, just out there throwing a plug, slow talking Middle Tennessee, whatever. So I picked these two guys, man. And I'm like, oh, yeah, man. I looked them up. They did really good last time they were there. So we get done with the video stuff, right?
Hey, just by the way, anybody listening to your channel would be very unhappy with the fact that you called Mullins Middle Tennessee, because he is not. He is 100%. He is 100% East Tennessee.
Yeah. I know. I thought I messed that up. I forget.
Yeah, that's almost like an Oklahoma, Texas mess up.
It's a bad mess up.
Right.
So I sit there and I was kind of proud of myself. And I was like, yeah, I showed Matt what's up, did a little research. But when I said this stuff, like no one agreed with me. Like no one was like, oh yeah, that's a good pick or something. Or like, oh yeah, he did good. Matt was kind of like during the headlights looked kind of like, didn't say much, So I get done and I'm happy with my picks, and about 30 minutes go by and I look down at my search again. I kind of wanted to just look at something. Dude, I put in St. Clair for my Google search. I swear to you.
You did all your research on the wrong lake.
Dude, I totally did.
Well,
dude, you know how
smallmouth or smallmouth, right?
Dude, you know how pissed Matt's gonna get that he does all that research, and I researched the one time I researched, I just put in Saint and it popped up Claire, and without even thinking, I just pushed it and it went down, and I was like, that's St. Clair. Well, so then I was like, oh my gosh, I bet you I sound like an idiot, and just didn't even think about it, right? So I go back and I'm like, well, let me look at St. Lawrence, and I'm like, oh yeah, Wimmett's gonna do good. Mullins has done good too. No, I'll just keep him. So I kept him, but I will be like, dude, no one will admit that. I
St.
admit,
Clair.
I did all the one time I studied, I put in St. Clair, not St. Lawrence, and that was
Those
my
dudes are
research.
on the river where like there's a ton of current. I guess St. Lawrence has got the river with a little bit of current in Detroit, but it's nothing like that place.
Oh no,
That's
no,
crazy.
no, nothing like that place.
No.
But it was, I was, I was going, oh, that's just because Matt's just kick it. He's
Yeah, dude. He it's bothering. He told me, he said like, all his side pots and everything he's got going, he's lost a bunch of money.
the tackle warehouse thing and the side pot, like
he's
he's
used to dominating this thing.
Yeah,
he's used to doing about where you're at or even better. I mean, that dude finishes like he's almost won this thing 3 or 4 times. The overall, that's how good he is at it. But he puts
he's good.
Time and effort in it. You're not even doing any research. You're just like showing up to the party.
Yeah, but then when I do research, it's on the wrong way.
It's crazy.
So, anyways, yeah, I thought you'd like that.
Yeah, I did. I like that a lot.
Oh, so ICAST.
Yeah.
Couple days.
Yeah, I'm leaving this Saturday night. So I'm leaving Tuesday morning. I'm flying out to go to ICAST. Don't really know what to expect. I got an email about, hey, you want to join us for a party on Wednesday night with AFCO or something. Tuesday night. I guess after, so that's right before it really gets going. Those guys will all be set up, and I guess AFCO's having a little shindig. So I'm going to meet some people there and hook up with some big bite people and go from there.
Listen, let's tell. Like, so I don't know how many of you guys have been to ICAST before. I honestly would think 90 to 95% of the people have never been to ICAST.
Well, ICAST is not open to the public. Correct.
So, so I've gone to ICAST now. I don't know if this is I don't know how many, 8 or 10 I've been, all the way back when I was going with Strike Pro was the first time I ever got to go to ICAST. I think I
haven't been to that many. I've only been to probably 3 or 4.
Oh, okay. Well, so I've been to the one in, with Strike Pro that was in Vegas. And then I think all the rest of them have been in Orlando. They've been in Orlando now for the last 4 or 5 years. I mean,
5 or 6. Yeah.
Yeah. They stopped going to Vegas, but in case y'all don't know, let's tell them about ICAST. Let's kind of explain to what ICAST is really all about. And is it fun? I'll put it to you this way. The first time you go, it's a lot of fun. Because you don't know it's all new.
Yeah, I mean, ICAST is really for buyers, vendors, reps, salespeople, because I mean, you're talking about the corporate companies and their relationships with the sales groups, right? And there are kind of behind the scenes, there's some really big sales groups that work out throughout the United States that supply each individual, say, tackle store that you personally purchase from. And they may represent 25, 35, 155 tackle stores in that region. And whether they decide to pick up a bait company like Big Bite or Strike King or whatever, those are those relationships and that's really kind of where they start, is from the buyers of that corporation or company, representatives of whether those things move into your tackle store in your area, right?
Yeah, you got that. You got writers. The writers are every writer from, and I would expect most guys thinking of writers as like FLW magazine, Bassmaster magazine,
right,
Field and Stream, Texas Fishing Game,
right.
And there are some magazines and some things that are so much more global that you might not realize are, like what I just mentioned, are not the biggest magazines and things at all. There are some bigger ones that are way global, and so this is a big deal, and they come and they get a lot of content and a lot of things here.
ICAST is global, right? So it's fishing companies from all over the world are coming to ICAST. It's not just American-based sales, American-based companies. I mean, it's worldwide companies with worldwide sales coming to ICAST. So I don't think that this year we're going to see that because of COVID still lingering and with the restrictions of, so we're expecting a little bit smaller ICAST. Last year we didn't even have an ICAST. Well, they kind of did. They had an online ICAST. And actually I did a video. You remember you and I were sitting in the airport going to Florida. We were going to go down to fish with Scott Martin. And they were like, hey, Hallman, will you do a deal? It was with the BFE, and will you do a deal with ICAST? And I'm like, I didn't think there was an ICAST. And they were like, well, we're going to do an online ICAST this year.
Who was it with?
With Big Bite. It was for the BFE.
Okay. Yeah. I think I did one with.
You were walking up basically to me right when I was finishing that video up, and you're like, what are you doing? And I had my phone out, and we were sitting in the airport because I had just flown into Houston or Dallas or somewhere, and you just walked in too.
Dude,
and then we were catching our flight to Florida together.
I think I was in I did one somewhere in a park. Like my kids were playing, something happened and I pulled into this park and in my truck and did one for like, tackle where I did something too.
Yeah. Everything was online last year.
Yeah, that's right.
It was really weird, but so then ICAST is always about the things that are new, right? And what's new out on the market. And so if you're a company that doesn't really have anything new, there's really not a whole lot to showcase because that's really what's big at ICAST. They always want the newest, latest, greatest. And last year was when we released the BFE, but it may have been your hybrid hunter at ICAST last year.
Yeah, but since we didn't have it, I think that's what I did the video on, something about that. And, but what's cool is that like, we'll work a little bit here and there. You'll probably work a lot more than me with my kind of new deal with Strike King and working with them with the product innovation side of it, how I'm kind of working with that more and more, that it's almost less and less I'm there for the fisherman part. I'm more there for that part, which I kind of enjoy, I think, because it actually kind of, don't you kind of get sometimes as a fisherman at some of these things, we're just kind of like, we're there to fill in a spot to a degree. I mean, at times it's just kind of like we're there and we're not doing much sometimes. So I'll feel like I have more to do there at this time, which I want, because it can get kind of whatever, kind of not boring, but kind of like,
no, I agree.
Feels like you're wasting time. But what I want to say is to walk around that place. Like, and I think this is where most guys would just enjoy it. Like your first time, just go like, hey, see y'all guys, I'm out. And what that means is you can start on one side of ICAST and start walking. And dude, I don't know if you can cover it all in a day. Because if you wanted to stop at every booth, there's something at every booth, something different, something new, something interesting, whether it's nets, whatever, that. I mean, you can really, I mean,
there's something new.
Is it?
It is. And it's not so new in design.
Is that a hand poured?
Yeah, you can already tell how soft this is, but the way I'm holding it. Look at that thing, dude. It's stupid. So this is a new one, Big Bite, but this is a smallmouth deal. And it's all about dude, this thing is like straight up shrimpy. Like it is the strongest smelling, dude. They sent all this stuff to us for, I've got this huge box and it's for the Northern Swing. And dude, they got some powerhouse smallmouth stuff coming. I'm sure it's like, the smell, how big the max scent and all that stuff's taken off. So I'm sure, it's on those lines, but dude, it smells like I had to take the box that came in. I had to put it out of my house and put it out in the garage because 12 hours of it being in the house, my wife was like, oh my God, what is that? I'm like, that's some smallmouth stuff. And she's like, put it in your boat.
Oh, this is so ICAST. Tell me if you've ever thought about this. So I'm not a big comic book guy.
Yeah.
And I'm not big into all that Star Wars, that type of deal, right? Or any of that kind of where you go with the Star Wars or the comic books or the superhero stuff. So, you go to ICAST, and when you go to these places too, like we're a group of people that get put down in Florida, in Orlando, Florida. You can spot us a mile away. Like Like you can spot the sales rep guys and these guys, like you're in hotels and like, that's our group, that's our group. I mean, it's bad. Like we stick out like sore thumbs. I try not to be, I try to be very low key, but I mean, even if it's pretty simple when we have certain things on our shirts, hats, whatever. And the other guys all have collared shirts like that. They'll say,
Oh yeah, it'll have like a Costa across it, or
or Iowa, or
yeah.
something.
Mouse
You can
print.
just tell, right?
Yeah.
But when you walk into this big convention center, right? And if you walk in and just kind of step back, if you didn't know anything about fishing or kind of barely knew, you'd walk in and go, this is what Comic-Con's like. I don't know what Comic-Con, but it's just like jerseys and you just look around like, you just got to take the guy who's never seen fishing going, why are all these people wearing jerseys? Like,
I was thinking about wearing this year. This shirt right here, I can wear it for
well,
like
no,
3 days.
we will, but like they'll be like everyone's in these jerseys and stuff, and you're like, no one's fishing. We're in just this. I'm just telling you, when you step back, we're used to it, but when you step back and go, if you didn't know any different and just showed up and going, like, woo, these weirdos, like walking around in these jerseys and I'm just telling you, man, I step back and look at it from a different perspective and go, there's got to be some people going, that's some weirdos right there, man.
I know. I think I still have to wear a jersey though. Like I think I've worn a jersey every year.
Oh, I'm sure.
I'm almost positive we're all in jerseys. You'll be able to not wear one with the Strike King situation you got.
Yeah, I mean, they might. I mean, I might have to do videos, so I always keep mine in my backpack, and when I have to do a video or something, I'll put it on, and then it goes.
Dude, I hate jerseys. I hate them. I've hated them. I've hated them for a long time. Not like just in the last. I've hated them for many years. I always felt like that. It's like when the circus comes to town or the fair comes to town, and that's what it looks like when everybody comes in with the rat boats and the jerseys and all that. It looks like the circus.
Dude,
like, dude, like when we go to restaurants, like if even it's Captain D's and y'all are griping, like I will go in there bare chested before I walk in there with a jersey.
And I will go shirtless all day long before I've ever worn a jersey anywhere that.
I can't do it.
No,
I feel like a clown.
100%.
I don't want people looking and going, what is he? No.
Like, yeah, I saw Mullins on I see some of those guys too, like any chance they get not to wear one, like they don't wear one, but
I wish I do wish that's where fishing would go, professional fishing. I wish somehow we could tighten up the clown jersey. Like I understand that you want to represent the people that represent you and that you work with and all that. But man, there's got to be a more tactful way. Like, can you not just wear a different nice shirt with that sponsor each day? So like if you took a tournament season and you had so many 19 days on stage, can you not surely to God fit everybody in there once and some of the more important people 2 or 3 times with just a really nice shirt with a logo on it without wearing the damn, hey, here I am with 25,000 sponsors?
I don't know if it'll ever go to that. I have wondered how much it matters. Like with certain things, I think you've got to be, there's some guys in our industry that are very good at being innovative on how they do it. So they're really like, there's about 10 guys up there. One of them we know, one of them we roomed with, just phenomenal at like doing it in a very semi-authentic way. There's some ways to do it, I try not to push the matter too much. I try to just, it's like how we do our YouTube, I try our YouTube, and we've been very adamant about this, is that I could have Strike King all over my jersey and all over my boat, and then you see me in the top 10 and I'm throwing a different bait.
Right.
I mean,
yeah,
what does it matter? And so like I can honestly say, I think if you look back at every single video, not me just jacking around fishing, I'm talking about tournament fit. When you see my tournament days that I put on there, in the last 2 years, I'd be willing to say, hey, find a time in that video where I'm not throwing a bait and you're like, hey, you can edit stuff. Well, I'm showing the fish. I mean, I'm catching fish on that stuff. I'm not going to sit there and randomly not put something in there. But I mean, it's all Strike King stuff, and I'm proud of that, right? I'm proud of being able to use the product that I endorse and actually and it actually shows up to being, or I wouldn't be doing it. We have all said that. If we, most of us agree that, you know, like your BFE, you're not going to be like, this is the best bait ever. And then you're out there throwing some other bait flipping. It's like, no, when I catch them, when I top 10 a tournament, like that's what I've got on. And so,
I mean, I've thrown other baits because the BFE doesn't have all the actions that, you know, when water gets a little bit warmer or something and I want some flapping action, but I'm still throwing big bite stuff like.
Right. And so, and we understand that there's other baits that work, but I always tell everyone like, well, you know, everyone always makes the comment of like, oh, he has to throw that. Well, dude, I got to throw something. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I got to throw something. Might as well be Strike King, and it'd be different if I wasn't like coming in, you know, 90th place all the time. But my point to all that is that, you know, I think it helps more of showing it rather than just having it placed somewhere. Although certain things, like we both agree that like the Costa, there are certain symbols that translate past the product. Costa's done a very good job on that. There's not very many products that withstand that, that can you can show the symbol without the words. Costa's like one of the few, and they've done a very, very remarkable job on.
Well, the hat you got on, they did a good job too.
Who?
TH, the hat you're wearing.
Yeah, TH. Like you can see TH and understand what that is.
They've done a good job with that. Yeah, they have.
Yeah. So,
but I agree. Yeah, logo placement.
ICAST, man, ICAST. We're gonna be leaving soon, and then I go to Florida. I fly back from Florida, and then get in a vehicle either that same day and drive back to Florida.
Dude, if it was the end of a tournament day and like you hadn't eaten in a while,
man, you're gonna have to put that thing down.
You could try to eat this thing.
We're gonna be.
Look how good it smells.
You want to know what smells really good? Want to know what smells really good?
I know where this is going. Oh, whiskey. He's getting excited. Don't feed him. Don't feed him. Make him get excited. I just like watching them nuts. Oh yeah. Oh God, he's getting big, dude.
Yeah, if I do this and he will splash me.
He is so big.
Oh, he's mad now. Okay, hold on. Oh, he did.
Oh, that's so good. God, he's getting big.
Yeah.
Man, is he a 14-inch keeper now?
Man. I don't know. Hold on.
Is he 15 or 16? We need to get him out of there and bump him. Hey, get him out of the tank. Let's bump him. I think you should bump him right now. You got a golden board in there?
Listen.
The golden rule, the golden board. You got the MLF.
He's not 14. That's we used to measure.
You should be able to eyeball him and tell me within a quarter of an inch how big he is.
He's in the water. Well, listen. So I used to measure crappie that way because that was a keeper crappie. It was like 10 inches, and he's not 14. He's probably like 10 or 11.
10 or 11. He looks like he's thick as all get out.
I know, but man, that's in a small tank, dude. Now he's thick though. He's well fed. He's kind of pissing me off.
You could have laughed and been like, dude, Hallman, he's a 3-pounder. He's 18 inches long, and I would have believed it. He's so thick.
He's still, because when he shattered, like, okay, so I've had this video in the making. It's not a video. It's like a 3 or 4 part series on how I feed him and like just the life he lived, like, because. So I've been making some videos that apparently have struck a nerve with some guys. About bed fishing and just like me and you, like we have a different outlook on fishing. And
I've gotten a few comments on my YouTube about your making a video to keep bass and 10-pounders and all
Yeah,
this. I was like, dude, I don't think he's going to make any videos on keeping 10-pounders.
Yeah, it's amazing where these people thought I was like keeping fit. I've never even talked about.
But the guy did come back and he goes, I've watched y'all a long time. I know y'all aren't keeping 10-pounders. He was just joking about some of the other stuff.
Like I've had a lot of guys joke and like, kind of like, where are these guys coming with these comments? Where in the world did you actually make a comment about keeping fish? I'm like, I have no idea. But what like
we kept him, we kept Whiskey.
Yeah, I'm allowed to keep him because of where I caught him from, and he was like, it was a private deal, so I could keep him. But here's the funny part, like, so I've had him, and I used to have one when I was a lot younger, but he's been really interesting. I've had him a long time now, almost going on 2 years. I'm probably gonna have to let him go after like the end of this year, because like keeping him fed has been a kind of a secondary job for me. I don't know how. I bet you I've caught 300 crawfish this year, probably a 500 tadpoles, and that lasted me from like March till now.
I can't believe he's not bigger than that. How big was he when you caught him?
Oh, like 5-6 inches. But
I thought they grew. I thought they grew to be.
Yeah, but he won't grow big. He won't grow bigger because of the tank. Like all fish won't grow. They will not grow the tank, their environment they live in. So he won't grow. He won't grow bigger because of the tank size. Even though it's a 40-gallon tank, it's a big tank. He just won't. He won't grow much bigger than what he is now.
Too bad humans ain't that way, because I've seen some big humans. I mean, in the pounds coming out of some little houses.
Anyway, the deal with him, and this is what I'm probably gonna have all kinds of people comment. Like, it's amazing how people will comment on stuff that they know nothing about, or they have like most of my comments is stuff I've witnessed. You know, I've like, but they'll probably make comments about this like they've done it. But it's amazing why he eats and why he doesn't. And the things I'll go over in this, like the video.
He's all fired up right now. Every time you move your hand, he like gets excited.
Yeah, he gets pissy. But it's amazing what he does and what he doesn't do, and all these little things. I'm gonna go over, like I've got videos of it and things, and like, because I got a deal on like crawfish, like him eating crawfish, him eating shad, him eating worms, and how it changes and how it differs and how it affects him, and like the things that affect him. Like all these people that sit there and talk about these fish, like, oh, there's no bait fish, or this is why these fish look bad. And man, it will blow y'all's mind on why he doesn't eat, why he does eat. It's probably not the things that affect him are you'll be surprised. And how he, like, dude, he's gone a week or two without eating.
He ain't going a week or two right now. He'd eat right now. If you feed him again.
Well, there's a reason though, but it's not because he's hungry. He rarely eats because he's hungry.
Pull that bag of shad out again without even looking at him. Just hold it up there and I'll tell you if he's hungry or not. He's hungry. He's hungry. So get out.
Here's what's funny. If I
he's
do
starving.
Stuff, but listen, no, that's what I'm saying. If I do stuff to this tank, I can. I'm not gonna tell you what happens, but I can do stuff to this tank and do things to it. And if I put them shut up there, dude, he will sit in that corner and never move for 3 or 4 days.
Really?
Yes, I'm telling you, man. And it'll be stuff that people would never have thought of. And so I don't care if he hadn't eaten in a week. If things aren't right, he will not eat. When he's good, dude, I can't feed him enough. And so I don't have to feed him that much. He will stay just blowed out. He just eats to eat. In those good lakes, those ones that freaking, you know, when everything's right, when there's grass and Toledo's freaking got 20 foot of grass and everything's pumped, you can't feed them fish enough, right? They freaking just eat until, that's why they get 13, 15 pounds. Them lakes that are bad and stuff, them fish ain't growing because they ain't eating, but it's not because there's not enough food in there. Like when you see a fish that's not blown out and all the other ones are, dude, there's something wrong with that fish. It's not because like he can't eat. Like there's a lot of things that go on with him. So I'm doing a whole video, man. I'm working on it right now. It's going to take a while because I'm putting on a lot of time and effort into it. It's hard. I
want to see the test between Jose Cuervo in the tank, and I bet he kind of gets sick. And you put the Patron in there, and I bet he gets frisky.
Dude, you can't feed him the same. Like what I'm feeding him now, shad. I'll give you a hint. That's the number, like that's the one thing that he almost never turns down, ever. When he's going, that's the one thing he never turns down.
He's on kill mode. Okay, hold that bag up there one more time just so we can watch. You ain't gotta feed him. I just want to see the bag. He like he's about to come out of the tank.
I'll feed him. You know what? He's great. That's why I don't do that, man. He threw water all over the floor. Got water all over the floor. Hold on.
Dude, he's excited. And he just sits down there and chews on it. Like his gills are flaring.
Yeah,
that
but
thing's awesome, dude.
Like see his
how big, how big is that tank?
40 gallons.
Man, I gotta get one of them.
See how his fins are all like, see how his dorsal fins are all like flared up? That's like when he gets excited and everything, they'll flare up. But and then they'll lay down when he relaxes and stuff. But here's what's funny, like when you feed them a lot of times, they get real like you would think he's calm right now, but he's kind of skittish. I promise you, like, so a lot of times, like now is the time that he freaks out about things, not in a good way, like in a bad way. You can stress him out, and he's all right now. See how he's not doing anything?
Yeah.
He's kind of weird, but a lot of times you can do certain things and he like flips out, but it's usually like on feeding time. After he eats something, they flip out. But before then, like before he's about to eat, you almost can do anything to him you want to, and he won't like freak out. He's just like zoned in.
How long is that tank?
Oh man.
I mean, it's ballpark. I mean, is it 3.5?
Yeah, it's my arm. It's an arm length. It's my arm length.
Was that thinking, can I fit one behind me? Like I would love to have that sucker.
It's probably 3 by 1.5.
I don't think it'll fit.
It's a big tank. It's deep too. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I can handle the depth. I think it's too long.
I mean, it's probably 18 inches in depth.
That'd be fine.
Yeah.
I'd like to have one. I want to go get one.
But dude, so like, I don't know. Yeah, I'm gonna wait till the video's got like tadpoles, crawfish.
I want to put a smallmouth in one.
Dude, I'm telling you, man. I don't know if you better have a way to feed them. Is all I'm gonna say.
I've got a pond. I've got 2 ponds. I'll just throw a minnow trap out there or something and catch them.
Can't do it.
They want to eat the minnows right out of the minnow trap?
Dude, that's part of it. I'm not going to give it away.
Have you tried to feed him frogs? I got a swim pool that collects frogs every day too.
He eats frogs. He loves frogs.
There's a frog. I had a frog in my pool last night. It was big as he was.
No, they eat frogs, but man, so minnows, you can't do minnows. You can do minnows. Minnows are a bad deal.
Why?
I'll explain it all in my video, man. That's what I'm saying. Like, so like I'll put it to you this way. He don't want nothing in that tank ever.
Really?
2 things are going to happen. 99% of the chance he's going to kill it. And the other part is it's going to mess him up to where he'll sit down in that corner and won't move for a week or 2. Dude, he's like what people, the things that I have learned from him, regardless of whether it helps me fishing, it's just amazing. There are some things, there's a crawfish thing in here that's freaking awesome. There's something that happens with crawfish that are awesome. And so that's a pretty cool one. It will explain some things about when you're catching fish or like what happens. But there's some pretty cool things that he does that like make sense in the fishing aspect of it, of like how we catch fish. But he's pretty cool. See how long I keep him. I kind of feel like I have to. My kids like him. I like him. People love it when they come over.
I ain't even over and I like him.
He's cool. He don't like Brittany though. He gets pissed when I leave.
I wonder what he thinks about that dead brother and of his hanging above his head.
Yeah, I don't know.
I wonder if he ever looks at him and goes, I wonder if I'm going to be like him, stuffed and dead.
I'm sure someone's going to go, I guess Todd had that thing freaking, he stuck it off of a bed. And, and what's funny, that is off of a bed. That is off of a bed. I freaking killed that. I killed that thing too. I stomped on its head when I caught it.
You brown thrifted him.
Yeah. No, I caught that thing on Toledo Bend. I was out there with some guys. I was supposed to take this, one of my sponsors that I was trying to get, like a buddy who was trying to get me with the sponsor, is like the huge head CEO of this whatever. And he wanted to go fishing on Toledo Bend, blah, blah, blah. So we went, and it was in the springtime. And I said, hey man, would you just please go sight fish with me? I promise you'll have some fun. So I finally convinced him to go do it. We pull up like I see a couple 2-pounders, and I see this fish way far away. I'm like, oh, that's a big one. And I never got even close to it, like a long cast away, shallow. I turned around, rig everything up. So just throw it on over there, throws on over there. He threw on over there like 20, 30 times. And I'm like sitting there going, I knew it was a big one, like 6-7 pounder, but we never even got close. It's way over there, like a long cast. And he's like, that thing won't bite. Okay, so I throw one over there and I get it right there, and I reeled in. I said, dude, just keep throwing over there. This went on and on. He finally got mad, and he was like, show me. Let me see.
Like you're lying to him.
Yeah, and I was like, no, man, I tried. And he's like, no, he kind of got mad. He's like, no, I want to see it. I don't think you can catch it. And my buddy who's with me, who was semi kind of boss or, whatever, I've known him forever, John, he kind of looks at me like, Todd, like, I'm like, hey, dude, called me out kind of, He's like, yeah, I don't care, John. I want to see him catch it. I'm like, all right. So I bomb over there first cast. I kind of turn around, like kind of give a little smile and set the hook. And then, so it's coming, but you know how sight fishing, when it's in your head, hey, that's a 7-pounder. As soon as you set the hook, it's like, I got a 7-pounder on, right? So I'm just reeling in a 7-pounder in my head, and it gets closer and closer, and it stays down, and it comes up. Well, we had the net out for some reason. And so they're both in front of me. Like, they both get in my way to where I can't even see what's going on. And I hear it splashing. I see them like net it, and he nets it, and he stays at the front of the boat. Well, I can't even see like, I'm looking, and I just see John just do, and with the worst look in the world, just look at me. Like, I was like, what's wrong? And he pulls this fish into this net, and my first reaction is like, oh, it's a little bit bigger. Because I knew. And he was like, he was not smiling. The other guy was like, oh my gosh, it's big. John's just sitting there shaking his head, just like, what did you do? And I'm like, yeah, we might need to keep that one. That's like a 10-pounder. So we put it in the live well real quick.
So Todd does keep 10-pounders and puts them on his wall.
I put him in the live well because on Toledo Bend, if you catch one over 10 pounds, they'll mount it for you for free, a replica.
Right.
So I put it in there, and I instantly drove right over there when it was like 15 minutes away. Gave it to them. They measured it, weighed it, did all that stuff. And then the next day they usually hold it in the tank on purpose. They will not give you a replica if the fish dies on them.
Yeah, on the state of Texas keeps it in their stuff.
Yeah, they'll keep it in there to make sure, because a lot of what happens is guys will keep these, they'll take 45 pictures of it, they turn it in, and the thing dies on them, and that's not what they're trying, and they won't give you a replica. Of course, I didn't even take a picture. I don't even have a picture of it or nothing. We just threw it in the live well, went up there, they got it. They said it after about an hour or two. They said, to be honest with you, they said it looked so good and it was doing so well. They just went ahead, and I told them where I caught it. They went and released it because it was really close. And so they actually, I think, drove over there and released it in that same area. And so anyways.
You should have gone back the next day and tried to catch her again.
Yeah. But that's the replica of that fish. And so, yeah, I guess I kept it.
Yeah.
But
it's actually a replica.
Yeah. I've kept 2 fish ever to get replicas.
Share a lunker program. is what they
Well,
call
yeah,
it.
well, okay, so the share lunch program is different. It does 13 pounders and they'll do the same thing, which there's been a lot of controversy with the share lunker program about actually doing that. Like Toledo's programs, 10 pounder or bigger, and they've done a phenomenal job of doing it, and they've done a really good job. It's raised a lot of money for a lot of different things Toledo Bend tries to do. Apparently, hopefully one of them's not spraying the grass over there, because, you know, I don't think any of us they actually fight that. So I don't know if we're winning that fight. We are absolutely losing the fight of them spraying. But yeah, the share lunker deal. The share lunker deal is, I don't know. I got mixed emotions about that thing. I don't know if I would turn one in or not, to be honest with you. I don't know. My wife caught one over 13, and but when she caught it, I think it was in September. I think it was a couple of days before the share lunker program started.
Really?
I don't think it starts until October. She caught one well over 13, like 14 something, and so we didn't turn that one in. But my other one, like a 12.6, I called it Toledo, and I turned that one in. That was before Toyota or Coast event. But that other program is different. They take the fish. A lot of them die in captivity. They do release more fingerlings into that lake. It's usually not from that fish. The problem is it almost has to be like a 98% pure Florida for them to get the genetics off of it. So I don't know. There's been a semi controversy over that stuff, but I don't know. I don't deal with that. I'm not smart enough to get into all that.
I wish Oklahoma would do some stuff like that.
Either way, Texas Parks and Wildlife are restocking our lakes like crazy. So I mean, either way, even if 113 pounder dies, which I know, like, chances are it's going to die in a year or two, they still restock your lake with other genetics from pure Floridas, usually because of that. I actually would risk a 13 pounder over getting more fingerling stock in the lake of pure Floridas than I would 113 pounder.
Right. So Thunderbird, they stocked the lake there by the house in Norman with pure Floridas, and we get this real big cycle because Oklahoma doesn't do it very often. And like, if you're fortunate enough to get true Floridas in your lake right off the bat, it's amazing how big they get. And then each generation that we go, so like every year they spawn, it'll be like the F1s. That's what they call them. And then it's an F2 and an F3 and an F4 and F5. And every year you're kind of dwindling down in that genetic, and it's not as strong. So like the first 2-3 years of that class of fish, we've got all these giant fish in the lake, and then you start seeing them dwindle down pretty quick.
Yeah. And I mean, like Rayburn, you know, like, so here's what's funny is I made that video, and these guys are complaining about certain things, and about you should never have these tournaments turn the spawn and all these different things.
Yeah, I've seen some of that.
Well, here's the crazy part. So Bob Seeley, and I need to get Bob Seeley on here to explain this. He talked to me about this one time. If you don't know Bob Seeley, he does the Big Bass Splash, which is by far, I think, the biggest tournament in the country every year. It's on Rayburn. It's in April. He kind of tries to do it after the spawn. They're still spawning. No big deal. And I say this because they catch and release an enormous. If you think Rayburn is bad or fishing bad, just go and look at the results of that term, about how it takes a 5 pounder to get a check for 3 days in a row. There are freaking 42 8-pounders get weighed in. It's incredible, right? The amount of giants that come that you see in the results. Who knows how many 4-pounders get caught? Now, what's funny is and I hate doing stuff like this because I don't want to get it wrong. But I asked him about it. He said, Todd, when Governor Ann Richards was governor of Texas years and years and years ago. So this is the tournament organization head guy, Bob Seeley, who's doing all these tournaments, that's providing a chance for all these guys to take fish off beds and do all these different things. He went to the governor and got them to stock Rayburn with, I don't know if it's 2 or 3 20 million. It's some it's crazy number of fingerlings every year. It is, he had it written down there for like, in this bill for like, or whatever you want to call it, for 50 years. It's something ridiculous. He said it's still going on from what he started 20 something years ago, that he had them, that they will always do this to Rayburn. So yes, people might be like, man, they're really hurting the lake. He might be, but he went and made it twice as good by doing what he does. And that's what I was trying to explain to people in that video, is that like, we're talking about a small number of fish that get caught. But if things are set in place to do the right thing, instead of going, hey, we need to shut down fishing, Bob Seeley said, hey, you know what? We're going to get more fishermen on the lake, do all these different things, promote it so well, and then figure out another way to make fishing better and have them stock it more. You see what I'm saying? Like, you can go that way, or you can go, hey, we're hurting our lake, so let's shut it down and not let people fish. Like, if that's your attitude and mentality, I don't want that mentality. I want the guy who's going to think bigger and better and go, I'm going to make this tournament scene and make it even bigger and better, and then get value out of it, rather than going, hey, you know, like, we're going to shut it down more and have less of it. Like,
if I was president,
the other, does that make sense to you?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
No, genetically, dude, if I was president, the TVA smallmouth would overtake the northern largemouth or smallmouth, and the biologists would throw a fit, but I wouldn't care, because if you know the biology of the TVA smallmouth, it is a clone of the United States American. It's like a mixture of all these different races and of smallmouth. That's basically how TVA came up with it. They didn't even know they just thought a smallmouth was a smallmouth back when they came up with this conglomeration. But dude, that smallmouth is King Kong. It's the biggest thing on the planet. If you took that smallmouth and turned it loose up there in St. Lawrence with all those gobies, we'd be catching 12 and 13 pound smallmouth. I mean, seriously, dude.
I know. And that's where I would try to say is that, like, man, you know, I just instead of going that way, man, I think there's another way to look at it. And I'm sorry, man, Texas and anyone from around Texas, like, people from up north might not understand this, but if you're from around Texas, you get it. You get what we're doing down here. And I'm not saying it should, like, that. I'm not saying it, what we do can translate. It can translate everywhere, but that's what I would advocate for rather than the opposite. And so I'm just saying, like, man, maybe someone's listening that has a little power somewhere that goes, you know what, let me see what they're doing down there and try to implement that up here, rather than going, oh, it's never going to work, so let's just shut down our lakes for a while. I think
they're never going to put TVA smallmouth up north, and I understand that because of the genetics of that being the native fish. But dude, I totally get putting Florida's in with some of these man-made lakes in the South all across the United States.
Look,
but hey, look, I've seen lots of places like Lake Mead in Vegas. We go out there and fish the US Open every year. And that place, dude, their stripers are like, they look like needlefish.
Yeah,
that's how skinny they are. I mean, they are so poor, dude. They're starving to death. And the bass fishing is a lot of fun. I enjoy the challenge, but that's what it is because it's such a challenge. The place is so big. But dude, I know the one thing that would fix it, like, instantly. And I've told those guys out there, like, I've seen it. I know what you can do. And they're like, what? I'm like, blueback herring. Blueback herring would fix the issue with you guys not having bait in this lake, because it's 300 foot deep, crystal clear. Dude, those things, it would dominate the food chain, and everything in there would eat.
Evasive species. Look, there's a lot of bad invasive species, right? Like Asian carp. Like, right.
And that's what blueback herring is. Blueback herring is actually a saltwater bait fish that got put into those Carolina lakes and Clark Hill. And they said they got put in there by the striper fishermen that were going over on the East Coast and catching the bluebacks and whatever. But dude, it changed those things to a positive. Just like you and I feel the same way. I mean, we can get this could be a whole nother show, but I feel the same way about the mussels, the zebra mussels. Zebra mussels have done nothing but help smallmouth fisheries, Grand Lake, all of our fisheries.
Ray Roberts, listen, Ray Roberts got that deal. And dude, when Ray Roberts was not back in the early or late 90s when Ray Roberts was good, like really good, right? That's a semi-new lake, right? But as they age, some lakes get worse. Most lakes that don't fluctuate get worse with age. Rayburn always is good because it refreshes itself by it dropping and rising. And Rayburn's very unique on how it rises and drops. Kentucky Lake is not good for the rise and drops because they're so dramatic and so drastic.
Right.
Rayburn right now is falling water. It's dropping. I looked at it every 30 days. It's dropping 5 foot, but it takes 30 days to drop 5 foot. So it's an inch and a half a day. That does nothing to, it's not drastic. When it floods, it comes up very slow. So our floods and droughts help that place, doesn't hurt it. Anything that goes like this usually hurts it, that does it drastically.
Right.
Toledo comes up and down, but it absolutely, the current that runs through there is what disrupts Toledo, because it's all that current, all that mud, and it rips up the grass and it kills things. And then they don't let it get too high and too low, and they're absolutely spraying that place. So they got a lot of bad things going on in Toledo. What are you laughing at?
That fish.
Oh, so but like what we were talking about, invasive species like hydrilla, it's invasive species. It's not supposed to be there, but yet there's certain, like you said, there's a couple of bad or invasive species that have done wonders to our lakes, and it sucks that they can't just go, hey, it's invasive, but it helps. So I agree with you. Like if they tried that smallmouth here and there, some places, like why not just? I don't understand how that would be a bad thing.
I agree.
Someone's going to get on here and tell us why it probably would be. But like I said, I mean, it's like the Florida strain. I've never seen a lake that has Florida strains that are complaining about those things.
Put the comments below.
That good thing we're not doing live.
Yeah, they want live on this too, by the way.
Well, if one of us is actually smart enough to figure this out, we would actually probably do it.
Well,
hey, if y'all know how to do this, comment on here and tell us, and we'll call you up and ask you, like, make sure because here's the deal. We want to make sure when we do it right. That's it. That's all we want to do is make sure we do it right. And I think it would be awesome. I would love to answer comments and just, I honestly think that's what we're missing, that we do want to interact with y'all. Right. I mean, live like that would be.
Yeah. It's hard for us to do the, true bass angler therapies live because the way that we record it, but this right here, we could do
where we're at.
We could do this very easily. So
if you know how to do this, comment, and one of us I'll get in touch with you or something. I know it's not hard. It's just, we want to make sure we do it right.
Yep.
But
all right, bro.
I hope someone listened long enough all the way to the end.
They probably, a couple of them do.
You know what? I might actually edit this and go put that.
Here's the end at the beginning.
Here's a side note. I might actually do that. So
I think I know how to. I think I got a pretty good idea how to do it live, but we're going to have to change what usually we're using. But I think we can do it.
Okay. Well, right. If y'all are just watching this, or if y'all are still watching this is now the beginning of our show, and now it's gonna back to the beginning.
All right.
All right.